You're listening to Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk. Each week, your host, Polly Requa, interviews veterinarians and individuals in the pet industry from across the nation answering pet questions. Bark and Wag podcast is produced weekly for your enjoyment, and show notes can be found at barkandwag.com under the podcast tab. That's BARKNWAG.com. Please remember to subscribe to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk.
Thank you for listening to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk. Bark and Wag is dedicated to protecting our dogs through advocacy, education, and supporting like-minded dog lovers by selling custom pet products. Bark and Wag is excited to announce our new partnership with a Colorado hemp farm to produce a line of CBD products for your pets. Bark and Wag has CBD pet tincture available in 300, 750, 1200, and 2400 milligrams. Bark and Wag CBD is pet safe, no THC, it's made in the USA, and is CO2 extracted. Please check out Bark and Wag's website, barkandwag.com. That is BARK, to see our line of CBD and awesome merchandise. We love pooch ideas for podcasts and merchandise, so anytime send an email to Polly at barkandwag.com with your suggestions.
Welcome to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk. I'm your host, Polly Requa. Today we're talking to Cindy Myers, energy healer and intuitive. Hi, Cindy.
Hi, Polly.
Well, I wanted to have you back on the podcast because you're one of our top clients. And what is going on in September?
Well, what I have going on is pretty much every Saturday I have a healing circle, and every Wednesday I have something going on in the evening. So Saturday is at noon Pacific time. I have what I call an online healing circle, and I combine everybody's energy. I put everybody in a guided meditation state, and then we combine all of our energies and send it out to all those who need it. It's very powerful and quite effective in helping people. And then every Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. Pacific time, I either have a webinar or a healing circle. And I usually always have a healing circle right after the webinar. But every other Wednesday I have a webinar of some sort.
Okay, and are you doing anything with the animals?
I do. The next webinar, which is going to be on September 9th, is my Animals and Emotions webinar. So people would definitely want to hop in on that one. That'll be a fun one for folks to. And I do demos. I do reading of just as many of the pets as I can, and that's a lot of fun. I have a lot of people that keep coming on regularly for that because it's just so much fun to see what the animals have to say or need healing.
And so what are some of the animals saying with all the humans home all the time?
You still hear I think most of them are quite content with that part of it. It's more of confusion, or they're picking up a lot of our stress.
Uh-huh.
That concerns them more, is that they don't understand why we're hot messes.
Yeah, right.
Clean it out.
Well, and I also like Maddie, our black lab, is a total counter surfer. So I think that her little sneaky tricks during the day of going through everyone's garbage and backpacks and counters, like that's all had to come to a complete halt.
Right. So if their habits and their routines get altered, for some especially, they really don't do well with changing of routines. There's some animals that are a little more autistic-like, that really need their routine. And so if that got changed in any way, shape, or form, then they kind of get wigged out a little bit about it. And then that comes out in either a physical or a different habit that's usually an undesirable habit. So that's a good time to work with me and get those cleared and kind of communicate to your pet what's going on, because they're just confused on, well, why are you here all the time? Why am I not able to go check things out like I used to?
Really, this has been going on since April. So now the dogs are probably really confused and think that this is
permanent.
Yeah, right.
When people start going back to work or going back to their normal routine, that's really when your pets are going to have a harder time with it been with us home. People think, well, our pets are kind of, confused or whatever because we're home all the time. But that's, to them, is wonderful. They love having us home all the time. But when we start going away, they're going to start feeling more abandoned and confused at that point, and not understanding, well, why are you all of a sudden gone? You're not supposed to be gone. I don't like that as much. So that's when you might notice your pets having more difficulties, when we actually start getting back into having our normal life.
Yeah, right. Okay. And how do people get a hold of you?
A good way is to either email me at cindy@beananimallistener.com, or you can go to my website and check things out there, or you can call me on my landline 541-658-5062.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast, and we look forward to having you back in September to learn what's going on in October. And definitely check one of the webinars. They're fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll pass along our web address, www.barkandwag.com, to your friends and other pet owners. Have a pressing question for a veterinarian? Ask your question at barkandwag.com under the podcast tab. This has been a KFR production. Join us next time for another edition of Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk.